You can, and actually, you bring up that point. I was looking at the list of some of the engines. I mean, how expensive or how much does an engine go for?
Well, these engines that are on the back of these boats, little kicker engines on the back of sailboats. So they're about between 9 and 12 horsepower. So, but they're still, if they're a 4-stroke engine, it's pretty expensive. Probably around between $3,000 and $5,000 for these engines.
Wow.
So they're not cheap. They're not a $200 engine. So it's fairly expensive. And they're fairly easy to get off the back of a boat because they're not through bolted. They're more or less just kind of hanging off the end of the boat there. So it's fairly easy to get them off. There was actually one guy even on his boat sleeping with his dog when the engine was stolen off the back, and the dog didn't even bark. So whoever doing it is pretty quiet when they're doing it.
We haven't heard from that dog. I heard in some time. He took a long walk off a short boat.
Right. So we put out the advisory. Today we were actually over there trying to look around under the water. A lot of people think that they might be able to get away with a crime, and they might have left some evidence behind, or they might have dropped one of the engines in the bottom. So we went over there to look to see. We heard a rumor that there may be a disgruntled patron of the club and trying to get back at some of the club members. So we decided to see if we can rule that out.
Thurston Howell the 7th, possibly?
Possibly. And then so we put our dive team over there. We did a few dives over there in and around the area. We came up empty, so we kind of ruled that out. So that was a good thing to rule something out. And
but, I mean, I'm just so how, most of the boats that are getting their engines stolen, are they out in the water? Are they on the land?
They're on, they're on moorings. They're most of them are on moorings. We've had a couple of land-based from some of the surrounding towns, so that they have some engines stolen off. The ones that are docked, not docked, stored on land. They might be on a trailer in the parking lot of the club, but for the most part, most of the ones that are stolen from us, from Savin Hill area, are stolen on the mooring field, meaning that they're out on the water. You see the little mooring balls out there. So they're out there. They're usually out there, and they're usually unattended. We've gone out there with our morning watch crew. We use some sophisticated equipment for night operations. We have some night vision stuff. We have some thermal imaging stuff. And I know the yacht club has put out a watch that they have. Usually, so we're trying to work together to try and resolve the issue, trying to catch the person who's doing this. If anybody has any
I was going to say,
ideas,
people with information or ideas, give you a call at the Harbor Unit.
Give us a call at the Harbor Unit. Can give District 11 detectives a call. We're working together through this. And
what's your number again at the Harbor Unit?
It's 617-343-4721.
4721.
Correct.
343-4721. I figure if I write it down, if somebody at home wants to write it down, they can write it down with me.
Absolutely.
4721. Now, have you seen a problem like that before? I mean, I haven't heard about something like that where people ripping
usually
boat engines.
No, not at all. I mean, this is kind of an unusual occurrence. Occasionally, you'll get something on the water, but not like this. This is a very unusual occurrence that's happening. So we're trying to get to the bottom of it.
Now, do you guys take the report on that?
We do.
Okay.
Yep, we'll do it.
And what are some of the victims? Are they just like up in arms? They can't believe this is happening, or?
Yeah, some people are saying. Well, first of all, it's an expense for them. So it's, especially in this economic time, it's really hard for them. And a lot of times, people go on their boats. They're not there every day, and so that's kind of difficult for us to track down exactly when it's happening, because if they last see their boat on a Saturday afternoon and don't go back to the following Thursday or Friday. There's been a whole week, so you don't know exactly what day it was, so it's hard to narrow it down.
I mean, I know, what was it? Was it in Marshfield they had it was the fuel, I think, the fuel tanks where somebody was boarding the boats in Marshfield someplace down there.
Yeah, we had an issue, well, not in and around the area, not exactly pinpointed in the Boston area, but a few places that stored boats over the wintertime ended up having fuel stolen out of them.
Boy.
And it's and with gas prices today, that's an issue that could be becoming a trend soon.
Okay, so 343-4721, information about the stolen boats, gas, engines, not boats yet, just
not boats yet. We haven't had
boats yet.
Yeah, that's one thing we haven't.
That's
had.
The next thing.
Yeah.
All right, July. I can't believe it's July 15th, but I mean, water safety at this point. How have things been out on the high seas?
We've actually had a great season this year so far as water safety goes. We haven't had any major issues. Last year we had several right at the beginning of the season. Where we had incidents on the water where people got hurt, and we had a few people that drowned because of swimming
falling off of boats, things like that,
where they weren't supposed to be swimming. We had a few boat accidents last year. This year started off great. Maybe the word's getting out about being a little bit more safe on the boats.
Maybe
swimming where you're supposed to swim. We're looking at a couple of Harbor Master Regulations revision, where we're trying to put in that they can only swim in designated swim areas, which is something that will probably go into effect this year. Very soon, actually, within the...
So, can only swim in designated swim areas, but you have problems where people are swimming where they shouldn't, kind of thing?
Yeah, people, see the water, and right now there is no regulation that says you can't swim somewhere in the harbor, so we have people jumping off of bridges, we have people jumping off of docks, we have people just swimming where they shouldn't be swimming, and part of the problem is you don't know what's at the bottom of that dock, you don't know what the current is under a bridge. You don't know a lot of things about these places where it is not normally a swim area. It could be shallow water, and we've had that happen where people jump off a dock, and lo and behold, there's about 3 feet of water at the bottom of that dock. So swimming in a designated swim area, it's safe. That's where the lifeguards are. That's where other people are swimming. So that's why we want people to swim in a designated swim area, not just jump in wherever they feel like it.
It's funny because one of the times during the show, it came on the heels of a drowning incident over, I think, in Southie.
Yes, over at Mother's Rest, over at by the Bayside.
And I'm sure that's an example, probably somebody swimming where they weren't. But do the currents play a big role in some of these?
Currents can play a huge role. We had an incident. As a matter of fact, it was. One of the times I was just on the show, and just after I got off, there was an incident where someone
they were trying to call you.
Yeah, they had anchored their boat out by one of the islands. They jumped in to go for a swim, and the next thing you know, they were dragged out by the current. One person was able to get back to the boat after swimming for probably almost an hour, he said, before he got back to the boat.
Holy cow.
One person,
and that's just jumping off the boat.
Right, and one was swept right across to another island, which was probably about 300 or 400 yards away. And then the other person got pushed up onto a jetty, and one person drowned. So the current did play a huge role. Where if you don't know the area, if you don't know that there's a current in the area, it's very easy to get dragged. And then what happens? You get tired, you can't swim anymore, and that's when things happen.
I can't even think of, especially swimming at night too, where some serious issues are going to go on.
Right.
You jump in, and before you know it, I'm sure you're discombobulated, not sure where you are. How was the 4th? It's funny. I don't think I realized it. How much boat traffic there is in the Charles and the surrounding areas. Is that like one of your busiest days on the harbor?
It is. Everyone's coming in to look at the fireworks up the Charles River. A lot of people don't want to go up the Charles River and get caught up in all that boat traffic, so they'll hang around at the lower end outside the locks where we do a big patrol. But everyone was well behaved during that. A lot of boats were in, and everything went off fine. It was a clear night. The fireworks went off great. You could see them from all over the place. And it was a great night. It
seems like such a crazy scene, though. I mean, not only on land, but when the fireworks end, it seems, are the boaters in a rush to get out? Or do they...
we try to tell them to have patience coming out of there, and a lot of people, if you bring your patience with you, it's great. If you don't, it becomes a problem. People start banging off other boats trying to get through the locks, and we try to keep them slow going out of the harbor because that's a huge issue for us, is the wake issue.
Right.
Throwing a wake because they've been up the river for a day and a half, and now they want to get home, and they're just flying through the harbor, and they throw a wake, and that creates a huge issue for all the marinas and along the city going out.
The wake is just what, ripple effect or a big...
Right. The wake is what happens when a boat pushes through the water. It's caused by the boat and the engine pushing through the water, and it creates that little wave effect. But a lot of people realize is that they think that just that wave effect just finishes when they go by, but it doesn't. That carries right over to the edges of the harbor, and it hits all the boats that are in the marinas. They bang up against the docks, and we've had people complain about TVs falling off shelves, glasses falling off their countertops, and people don't realize that wave continues to go, even though the shore might be 500-600 yards away. It makes it to there, and eventually those boats end up moving with that wake. And
so how fast would a boat have to go to create a wake that's going to cause some damage?
It doesn't have to be fast. There is a speed limit in the inner harbor. It's 10 knots or no wake. Now, some people will say...
10 knots and no wake.
Right. Now,
which is the equivalent of what?